Good morning everyone and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. It's a bit of a weird little show we're going to have today because if you saw the video of the background die haul last week, which I will link below, you will have known that a couple of days later I noticed that some of those dies did not work. So I'm here today to show you the dies that didn't work, and if you've ordered them you can ask for your money back. The seller has already started to refund, so I'm just going to go straight into that and show you what's what. Right, I'm putting down a sheet of black cardstock. I'm sorry that's going to cause some liney glare, but hopefully you'll be able to see the dies a lot better. Right, that one does not work. It all finishes before the cut line. If it was something that you wanted to use as a stencil, all of that leaf section is going to come out and you're going to be left with a border. So for me, that one is a no-no. This one, exactly the same. You've got whole areas where you're just going to be left with a thin outline and all of those bits dropping out. Now, if it was something where you wanted leaves with a little sprig, these bits are going to come out completely. So if that's something that you like, then, you know, that one would work for you. Personally, it does not work for me. The same thing here. We have huge sections finishing before the cut line. This is the cut line that my nail is on, and this is also a cut line. So once again, a no-no for me. This one was really sad because I was really excited about this one, but the whole thing just falls apart in a million pieces. So all of the cut lines are in the incorrect places. Another no-no. This one, exactly the same. Everything falls apart, leaving you with just a skimpy little edge around it. Another no-no. This one, exactly the same. I mean, if you wanted something where you were going to have a few scrolls that you could use independent of having it fixed within a rectangle, then, you know, you could go ahead and do that if you wanted to. But for me personally, I was looking for a background die, and that's not a background die. So that is a no-no. So I've shown you the no-nos. Now I will show you the ones that work. Okay, so first up is the one that I described as a cobblestone or a giraffe, and it's this one. You could either cut that in yellow and brown and put your cute giraffe stamps or something on there, or do it in greys and putty colours. You could use some glossy accents on the large areas to make them look like wet cobblestones coming forward, and you could do flowers all over that. That's a pretty one and it works. Right, next up is this one, and I thought that it looked a bit sort of like cloudy sky or sea, but it can also be used as camouflage. So if you're somebody that does cards for anyone in the forces there, then that's a nice one, and it cuts out like that. You could imagine that done in khaki greens. So that's that one. The next one is the torn stripe, and I really do like that. I love that. That could be that way around, and it could be birch trees, depending on what colours you used, or it could be that way around. You could have your cute little critters poking out from all of those strips, and that is what that one looks like. So I'll pop that there, and the strips that come out are really lovely. So if you've got small sentiment stamps, these would be great for stamping on if you kept them. So that one is okay. The next one is the sort of like raggedy strip, and that's another lovely one, and this is the die, and that one works. These are great for sort of like putting down and popping your little bits of ephemera and other die cuts hiding behind there. The brick wall, this one works. and I've left pieces in there so that you can see that, you know, you can pop bits of brick wall back in. These are also great for using as a stencil, so that one works. This one works. These are all the dots here. Now that would be a great golf background for anybody that likes golfing. It's a bit golf bally, but it could also be snow flurries. So a Christmas one, if you've got the patience, you could dot little bits of stickles in there, silver stickles or something, and have a little snowfall coming down, or some of that Eileen snow to give it some dimension, or once again a great stencil piece. Next up is this one, and I really like this. I think this is, I've left a piece there, I haven't poked it out yet. I think this is quite humorous and done in lots of different colours. I just think it would look awesome, make a really great cute background. So that one works. Next up, and I've left a few pieces in again so that you can see, you can pop these out of the die, pop them back in if you want dimension. So the cogwheel works and cuts as a background. This one kind of reminds me of Halloween, and I think I said that last week, sort of like gnarled trunk of tree sort of thing. It just looks like a wood grain, and it does remind me of Halloween, so that one works. Now this one, I didn't know whether to put it on the no work pile or the work pile, and you can see that it ends, the design does, before the actual outer edge cut line. So what you end up with is this. So I didn't want to totally diss this one, because this is great for cutting up and popping on top of a shaker window, or using as a stencil, or using as a piece on a card where, you know, you don't actually want to have a border. So if that's something that you don't like, don't get it, but I actually like that, which is why I've popped it into the working pile. And then next up is this one, and it's kind of almost random leaf shape, and as you can see, that one works, and that one is this die. And then next up, this one is like the honeycomb, and I didn't want to totally diss it because I really like it. And once again, you know, pieced over a shaker window, or use as a stencil, or as part of your background there, bubbles, fish. You can actually weave your fishes in and out. So if that's something you don't like, don't get it. But I didn't want to, as I say, you know, totally say that one was a failure. Next up is the patchwork, and this one does work, and it cuts lovely, and I do love stitching, and that's one that I would definitely use. This would look lovely just shadowed in oxide inks with a kite or something flying on there, and just a simple happy birthday. But I really like that one. So those are the ones that work. Oh, and I forgot to show you this one. I decided to pick this one out as my absolute favourite. And it can be used as cobblestones, as giraffe, but when I saw it, it just instantly reminded me of paint pouring. You know, all the cells that you get when you pour paint. And so I've got this, and I thought, while I'm here, I'm going to grab some inks and see if it works, and if I can make this look like paint poured cells. So if you give me a few seconds, I'm just going to grab a few things and I'll be right back. Okay, let's see if this is going to work. I've got a sheet of cardstock down on one of my silicone mats. I've got a piece of paper towel. I've got one of my blender brushes that you can, you know, just squeeze around and just wipe your excess off on there. I've got my die cut that I'm going to use as a stencil, and I'm choosing to use pickled raspberry, Victorian velvet, and broken china. So first of all, I'm going to go in with my pale shade and see what happens. Now, I don't know whether I completely cleaned this brush off, and we're about to find out. So I'm just going to go very, very lightly on there. In fact, it's probably going to come out blue. But anyway, I just want to see if it will if it will work. Now, you are of course supposed to fix down any stencil you use, and anybody that watches me knows that it's just something I don't do very often. So that's got a little bit more colour on it. Actually, I think my ink pads need to be re-inked, and we probably won't see much of this colour until I've finished. And I suppose I should have used a foam blending tool. That would have given it some serious oomph, I think the word is. So anyway, I've done that, and I'm stuck with this now because I'm recording it, and I have never done this before, so this is a trial and an error. I'm sure there might be more errors than trial. And now I'm going to go in with the broken china, squidging some of that onto my brush, and I'm just going to try and hit around the edges. I want to see what kind of effects we get. I think when we put the pickled raspberry down, that's going to be, you know, the big test of what's going to go on here. It's going to be interesting to see it, actually. In fact, I probably should have used one of the foamy sponges rather than a brush. And now I just want to sort of like tap around the edges and see what happens. And I should have used a smaller brush, but I just want to see if I can get a sort of cell effect. And in my spare time, if I can do this in a better way, then I will. But anyway, let's lift up and see what happened. There you go. Isn't that pretty? Now, I would use a foam tool actually to do that, but it does make a really, really pretty effect if I pick that up. Isn't that a nice background? I really like that. I mean, obviously you can go in and do it darker. It would look also nice if you put your pens around there. So anyway, I like that one the best. And I'm going to be up tomorrow with a Tutorial Tuesday, which will be surprise creation, and we're going to be making a lantern, a table lantern that will take a tea light from one of my die designs. So you have a wonderful day. I hope that that video was informative for you. As usual, all links below, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.